Yeah, it's a good way to develop that corridor. The downtown development authorities are, that's state legislation. It's downtown development authority public act is only 2.5 pages. And it's very clear. It's one of the best pieces of legislation I've ever seen. And that's why Gaylord's blew up, so to speak. It's just, those are all.
Even did you do that?
Yeah. 425. Yeah, so they have the financial capability. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. I mean, like I said, we're going to do some more investigation and make sure the township board and the DDA are ready to do this.
That's your district too.
Yes, representing this township.
Good. Stay on top of that and keep us appraised.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
I mean, that's where the growth is going to occur.
Yeah,
I've dealt with a lot of commercial property owners, franchise stores. Home Depot was looking at properties 10, 12 years ago, and I tried to get them to go on the east side of the city of Cheboygan. They just laughed at me.
yeah.
Traffic. They do MDOT statistics. Traffic flow going by the state police post is 5 times more than going by the Kmart Plaza.
And it came right.
Home Depot, they'll tell you they rely on 20% of their business is drive-by traffic. A lot of people that have,
What they got on 32 West?
yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
Mike, you have
I got one other thing.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I've had some inquiry, I don't want to mention the individual yet, about the Tom Moran industrial project in Forest Township. This inquiry said to me that apparently Tom Moran is not happy with the special use permit that he went through. He went through the process, and it's what he had to do according to the ordinance. It is an industrial district, but in the ordinance, you have to have a special use permit to put up a building. Well, there are a couple conditions that were in this. Jeff provided that here. Conditions. There's a couple conditions in there, and it has all been approved. I mean, it went through a public hearing. It was published. All been approved. But Tom apparently doesn't want to sign it because of these conditions. The conditions are that he's got to get building permits, and he's got to get a soil and erosion permit, which really would be the case if it was used by right. If you didn't have to go through the special use process, you still got to get a building permit, so you still got to have a soil erosion permit. But the concern is basically he's saying that if he has to abide by this special use permit, that he's not going to build here. And he's got property in Escanaba, and he's building boats in Escanaba. So he might have to go there, but he's probably going to have to go through the same process. So I don't know why he's just adamant against. I think the county controlling his property, the way to do on his property. It's just the way that he is. This is a very big project. It's a $5 million building. It's going to create 12 to 20 jobs, maybe more in the long run. He's got a couple of contracts already for ships, and he's working with a company that builds amphibious cranes. Yeah, exactly. Yep. He wants to build them here in Cheboygan County. And those things are pretty unique. They're like a barge. You
Yeah,
go in the water and they
made
walk
a
on
pres-
land.
They came to us here several years, probably 3 years ago anyway, and made a presentation of this board. Pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, apparently they have a market for it now. Back then, I had talked to them too when I was at the city. We looked at property on the river, so they could just drop those cranes and barges in the river and test them and so forth. So I'm just concerned that he's gonna walk away, and the planning commission did nothing wrong. They did what they were supposed to do by the ordinance. But he thinks they did. He doesn't like it. And wants to bypass that, basically. But, and I don't know if this board has the authority. I mean, it's plenty, again, it's already been approved. He's just gotta sign a document. And then he's gotta go get building permits and soil erosion permits. He's gotta do that anyway, even if he didn't have to go through the special use permit process. So it's,
I think most of us are aware of that, what's been going on there.
yeah.
Any comments on that?
Yeah, I think Mr. Eustace summarized it really well there. We've been talking to legal counsel, as been talking to Mr. Moran's legal counsel.
Yes.
So if you want to give an
Yes,
update.
I have been talking to Mr. Moran's attorney, and you are correct. He got the special use approval. He doesn't think he should have to. You know, my review of the zoning ordinance is the same thing. Most of the industrial uses in the industrial district require special use approval, and that is not typical, okay? So, I've talked to her as recently as last Friday, about 5 o'clock, and, she's going back to her client, but you are correct. These acceptance of conditions, he would have to do them anyways. So we're discussing, whether he would just say, yes, I agree, I have to be bound by, you know, all applicable rules, regulations, or whatever. I think we'll be able to find some way that there can be some acknowledgement of these conditions without signing this paper, all right? And then the second part is we need to look at the zoning ordinance, because it is atypical that most industrial uses are special uses in the industrial district. Now, whether that would, make Mr. Moran satisfied that should he have to expand, should his special use expire, that he would not have to go through that process again, I'm not quite sure where he stands on that at this moment, but we have been trying to work this through, that he will be satisfied with what he already has approved, and going forward, he would feel comfortable that his business would be allowed, you know, permitted by right. And so this will be another zoning ordinance amendment, as, you know, there's been different amendments discussed to amend the zoning ordinance, just so everyone understands. We have to prepare the ordinance to change, you know, repeal or rescind. It has to go through a public hearing at the planning commission, and then it will come to your board for adoption. So there's a process. All these things can be done if that's the direction you know, want us to proceed with staff and with the planning commission. So we've had ongoing conversations with his attorney, as recently as last Friday, and we can do whatever, you know, urgency or however we need to make this happen. I think we can achieve it, because this acceptance of conditions is just required by law anyways. If that makes sense.
Again, here the man's pulled 40-some permits on that property since he started in that little pole barn. I mean, he's acclimated doors across the state, he's accompanied or watched by our own government. Yeah, and, you know, he's got an opportunity to go build boats on the shore versus over there, you know, and if there's a business, you know, pretty soon your passion for your community is gonna be overtaken by, you know, and I understand it sounds simple for someone to just sign it, but I've been on there whipping into that post too many times that, you know, and sometimes, you know, he's gonna build a $5 million building. He's already got screws as stated in the other things. I was reading the minutes there, Mr. Ramsey pointed out, but, you know, he's under so much stuff with all these other state and federal agencies, the man, all he wants to do is build a building on his property. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I wanna see a way that we can just make that happen if we could, because even back when I was mayor, the city council had the right to do whatever they want over that. And I've been elected over 20-some years at this position, on my position of economic development. You know, it's been what we've done and talked about. I know, I can appreciate his frustration, I guess, is where it is. I mean, it seems pretty easy to just say you can do it all, and that seems easy, but it gets pretty frustrating.
I'm sure it does, that's a big complaint.
You know, and I just, so if there's anything, and it sounds like we're gonna have something, maybe you could make, we're gonna make this happen, and that's my position, I would make something happen. Within the realm that's appropriate, that those two people feel fit.
It seems that Jeff and the board is directed legal to move that way, and they're moving that way.
Well, that's fine, as long as but it's important that
Everybody's on the same wavelength now.
I am, as long as that's how I feel, that as a board member, that this would be, you know, not that anyone did anything, just needs to move on. We have that right as an elect, I mean, that's what people pass this petition.
Yeah, parts of that 200 ordinance, the amendments are now thicker than the ordinance was. They're about that thick, and the ordinance is like that.
I was reading some old emails, what was it, buddy, I got passed away, and
Yeah.
I was kept going back looking for some, and I had to reread all those ordinances again.
So are you saying that
Yeah,
you can make this happen
Well-
without him signing that document?
I think we probably can. I've asked his attorney if she is willing as his legal representative to make these representations. And even if she's not, okay, this is allowed by, he has to do this by law. Now, the issue is the special use approval by the planning commission said he had to sign this. I think we can find some way to accept some other representation that he will comply with laws. Yes, but then the second part of his concern is I want that zoning ordinance changed so that industrial types of buildings, certain industrial buildings, are permitted by right instead of a special use approval, and I think that's probably appropriate. And then we need to work that through the planning commission up to you. I mean, and, obviously, I'm a planner by background and also an attorney, but this is for your staff to come up with what they feel is appropriate. But generally in our industrial zoning districts, it's very broad in what's permitted use, and in this particular case, almost everything's a special use, I'm not sure why. And I could see why somebody who's making a large investment would feel concerned about that, because if he then wants to go and do the next part, he's not sure what will happen with that request, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So,
That's the concern.
I can see why he would be concerned, but obviously, I don't make the legislative determinations of your zoning ordinance. I can help execute whatever anyone decides to do. But we can certainly take that, with Jeff's direction to the planning commission.